Help me reach my goal and subscribe. And hit the bell icon.
Chapter 69:26. But thinking of Charlie, he instantly understood that this must have been Charlie's order to do this. Having seen all sorts of storms, he was actually moved to tears at this moment. He felt that Charlie had saved his life. And not only had he given him such a huge credit, but now he was letting Tawana add to his glory. He couldn't help but wonder. Is this still the Charlie who extorted hundreds of millions of dollars from me with a plastic imperial seal and an ink painting of the Mona Lisa? I used to think he was the most despicable person in the world. But why do I now find his humanity so brilliant and dazzling? He's the one who leaves after his mission is accomplished, hiding his achievements and fame. Isn't that what he's talking about? A media outlet, using a telephoto lens, keenly captured the corners of Bernard Erno's eyes. Tears were streaming down his cheeks. Unaware of the true situation, the reporters assumed the old man was moved by Tawana Sweet's act of gratitude and sketched out a touching story. Bernard, the kind-hearted and wealthy former world's richest man, rescued all the tourists on Whitehorse Island. An international superstar, Tawana, ever grateful, immediately reciprocated by hosting 5 charity concerts in France. Isn't this a prime example of global unity and human love? Instantly, cameras began snapping away at Bernard. Touching news stories were already taking shape in the minds of the media professionals. Fans in France and across Europe were instantly ignited, cheering loudly in front of their screens. People had always loved Tawana, and now, thanks to this series of events, they fell in love with this silver-haired old man. Suddenly, Bernard's popularity skyrocketed across France, Europe, and even the world, reaching a peak unmatched by any other wealthy individual. By the time Bernard left the Élysée Palace, major media outlets had already published their own reports online. Bernard's wife excitedly told him, "I've read every article, and without exception, they are all positive. All the media are praising you, and their writing style and choice of words are very thoughtful. They are generous with their praise and speak highly of you." Really? Bernard's heartbeat quickened with excitement. He asked, "Have you read the comments online? What are their attitudes?" His wife blurted out, "They are almost 100% praising and supporting you. Many people even explicitly said that if all the wealthy people in the world could be as responsible and accountable as you, they wouldn't hate the rich." Such comments have been liked and echoed by many people. Many people, who used to be dissatisfied with the wealthy, now look at you with new eyes. Oh my God. Bernard sighed, "If things keep going on like this, maybe one day I can try to go into politics." His wife sneered, "How old are you, and you're still thinking about going into politics? Besides, this kind of thing shouldn't be attractive to you, right?" Bernard waved his hands and said seriously, "You don't understand. It wasn't attractive before, but now it is. I suddenly found that feeling, the feeling that money can't bring." His wife held his hand and said seriously, "Bernard, we are both very old. We should use the rest of our time to enjoy life, right?" Bernard smiled unnaturally and said casually, "You're right, but don't worry. I just plan to reduce my energy in making money and do some of the things I want to do now. As for life, it won't be affected. You can rest assured. Besides, even if we want to enjoy life, we can't stop all work. After being busy all our lives, it's hard to adapt to suddenly relaxing completely. The wife finally felt relieved, nodded gently, and advised him. You have to remember that when you get older, you still have to put your health first. She didn't know that Bernard was sighing in his heart at this moment. You're right, we are both very old, but you don't know that I've taken a rejuvenation pill. And the next one is only 50 billion experience points away. I've made enough money in my life and enjoyed enough luxurious life. Moreover, such a huge luxury empire is still creating wealth for me. I have a good reputation now. And it will definitely help me make more money in the future. Naturally, I want to experience something different. Mr. Wade has laid such a solid foundation for me now. He has put me on such a high platform with almost no effort. Such a stage cannot be built with money. If I don't seize this great opportunity, I will not only be sorry for myself, but also for Mr. Wade's cultivation. Besides, I still have a long life ahead of me. At least another 30 or 40 years to live. Chapter 69-27. With Tawana help, Bernard once again dominated the headlines of major media outlets worldwide. His growing popularity led to a surge in interest in his brand. It saw record sales and soaring profits at stores worldwide. Bernard was in high spirits. After his meeting with this official, he only planned to go home for dinner before heading to the airport for a flight to New York. Due to Bernard's global fame, his private jet, upon takeoff, it was instantly visible via airline software, indicating its arrival in New York. New York is home to the United Nations headquarters. The media, once again, began reporting extensively that Bernard had departed for New York to fulfill his promise. Over the past 2 days, Bernard's immense popularity has put immense pressure on the government and Blackwater. Unexpectedly, before any solution could be found to alleviate the pressure, this scourge suddenly arrived, heading towards the west. Blackwater felt threatened. They immediately contacted the officials, hoping they would intervene to prevent Bernard from coming. Even if he did come, he absolutely must not target Blackwater. The high-ups were also troubled by this matter. During his business career, he and Bernard had been acquaintances, if not close friends. His family had been a major client of his brands. But after entering politics, they had lost contact. Now, Bernard's relentless pursuit threatened not only Blackwater's reputation and prospects, but also its image. After much deliberation, he decided to call Bernard. From the plane, Bernard gazed back at the receding Parisian skyline. His heart is awash with excitement. He felt like a general on a foreign expedition. His ambitions thickening, ready to be unleashed. At this time, his assistant came hurriedly into the front cabin with a satellite phone and whispered, "Mr. Arnaud, this is a call from a very high official from the USA." Bernard frowned and whispered, "What does he want to say?" The assistant shook his head. "I don't know, I just heard from his assistant that he wanted to talk to you. And he is already on the line." Bernard snorted coldly. "He just wants me to back off. Would I be afraid of him?" After that, he reached out. "Give me the phone." The assistant handed the phone over. And Bernard immediately pressed the call button. And the call that had been muted was immediately connected. Bernard said calmly, "Hello." A slightly hoarse and lazy voice came from the other side. "Hi Arnaud, long time no see, how have you been recently?" Bernard said yin-yangly. I am okay. I almost lost my life on Whitehorse Island. Fortunately, I escaped unharmed. The other side was silent for a moment, then said, "Listen, Arno, I don't want to beat around the bush with you. I want to be honest with you. I know your plane has taken off for New York, but I still advise you to ask the pilot to turn back. Or change to a destination. It doesn't matter where you want to go. Find a place to relax and slowly let this matter go. What do you think?" Bernard refused without hesitation. "I've made a promise in front of people all over the world. As a responsible gentleman, I won't go back on my word," he said, his tone slightly irritated. "Arno, you're a businessman, and so am I. No one understands business better than I do. The essence of business lies in how you can make more money. What others think of you is irrelevant." Then, he threw out the bait. "If we can reach a deal on this, I can have the Ministry of Commerce grant your group very substantial tax breaks over the next 3 years. Believe me, Arno, this could bring you hundreds of millions of dollars. All you have to do is let go of the Whitehorse Island issue, and let it go." "No," Bernard said firmly. "I can't change my schedule and decision. Our group will also pay taxes normally according to the local law. Our profit margins are already quite substantial. So we don't need any tax concessions." The other party didn't expect him to be so ungrateful. His tone immediately became harsher, and he warned, "Arno, you know, tax rates can sometimes not only be lowered, but also raised very high. As far as I know, none of your luxury goods are produced here. We can impose a very high tariff on you. So high that your products will lose all competitiveness. However, all this can be completely avoided by simply turning the plane around. Do you want to make this deal?" Bernard Arno was so excited that he couldn't close his mouth. He couldn't help laughing and said, Are you telling the truth?" The person thought he was scared. After all, the essence of a businessman is to pursue profit. Those top rich people seem to be indifferent. They will only smile slightly if they earn an extra 100 million. But as long as they lose 10,000, they will immediately start crying. Chapter 69:28. The official naturally felt that he had Bernard's lifeline in his hands. So he smiled and said in a friendly tone, Bernard, we have been friends for a long time. I know you and you know me. As long as we can cooperate well, I will naturally not treat you like this. You know, I never shoot at my friends. But the premise is that you are still my friend." Bernard couldn't help but blurt out, "Shoot me. Please shoot me. I beg you. If you can increase the tariffs for my group by 100%, or even 200%, it would be great. I will be grateful to you from the bottom of my heart." Bernard asked himself loudly in his heart, is there any channel that is more awesome than this way of brushing experience? DMN it, there is no other way. 50 billion experience points, if I accumulate them normally. Mr. Wade must nod for every point. As long as Mr. Wade doesn't nod, I can't spend a penny, or accumulate a single experience point. But, Mr. Wade also said, the business losses caused by this incident can be regarded as experience points. How can there be losses? I can't just stab myself twice, right? If I announce that my group will withdraw from this market, it will indeed lose billions of dollars that year. But if Mr. Wade doesn't admit it, won't it all be wasted? But if this country sanctions me, it will be different. All sanctions and losses will definitely be recorded in Mr. Wade's account. At this time, the high official had no way of guessing Bertnard's psychological activities. Hearing Bertnard begging him to raise tariffs on the phone, he thought the old man was deliberately speaking in a sarcastic tone to antagonize him. So he immediately threatened, "Arno, don't think I'm kidding you. I can expedite this matter very quickly. And it won't be long before it officially takes effect." Bertnard asked, "How long do you mean by not long?" The official replied coldly, 2 months, maybe even less than 2 months. Bertnard Arno anxiously said, "Please hurry up. Can it be implemented within a week?" The official was stunned. What did he mean? Was he looking for trouble, or was he truly fearless? Feeling insulted, he immediately warned, "Arno, you need to understand your current situation. If this policy is implemented, your begging and crying will be useless. In fact, you won't even be qualified to call me." Bertnard, impatient, repeatedly said, "I understand. I hope you can urge the policy to be implemented as soon as possible. The faster and more forcefully, the better. What's wrong with your mind?" The official was extremely confused. Which wealthy man isn't a Grandit? Which wealthy man isn't a Jew Paupi? Why does this old man seem so indifferent to money? Could it be that, just to gain a little fame, he's so utterly indifferent to a multi-billion-dollar business? This is embarrassing. The best way to manipulate the rich is to take their money. A trick he's tried and tested. But once the rich don't care about money, it becomes really difficult to deal with them. He could only suppress his anger and ask doubtfully, "Arno, is it worth it to give up billions for a little fame?" "It's worth it, it's totally worth it," Bertnard blurted out without hesitation. "You may not understand, but I still have to say that money is a burden to me now. I really don't like money anymore. If America can give me more punishment and restrictions, I will only be grateful. I hope that the sanctions will be implemented as soon as possible. Thank you very much." The official sneered, "I understand, you are just bluffing. Thinking that I dare not promote relevant policies, right?" Bertnard Arno showed his nervousness for the first time. "Misunderstanding. I'm really not bluffing. I just hope that you can implement the policy as soon as possible. Again, the sooner the better." The official felt dizzy, seeing that his threats were completely ineffective. He could only sternly declare, "Arno, I don't care what your reasoning is, but I can tell you this. You'll regret your decision today. Not only will I push for the policy to be implemented as quickly as possible, but I'll also have the IRS conduct a comprehensive investigation of your business. I hope we don't find any problems with your business." Bertnard Arno muttered, "It would be great if there really are problems." "What did you say?" The official heard his mumbling and demanded angrily. Bertnard also threw himself into the fight, saying seriously, "I say, if you can find any problems, that would be great. Ideally, find some serious problems and issue me the heaviest fine in history. A whopping $50 billion. Chapter 69-29. The official on the other end of the line felt completely awful. He hated the feeling of lashing out with a big stick, only to have it vanish into thin air just as it was about to bruise the opponent. The official couldn't understand why Bertnard had dared to challenge his authority and demand a $50 billion fine. It felt like threatening someone with a slap in the face for disobedience. And instead of begging for mercy, they begged him to shoot them. Furious and humiliated, he still took Bertnard's sincerity as a provocation. So he said coldly, "Okay, I understand, Arno. You think you're a hero now, that I dare not do anything to you. So you don't have to fear anything. But don't worry, I will make you pay the price." After that, he gritted his teeth and hung up the phone, immediately calling out to his staff, "Find a way to strengthen Bertnard's group, and see if we can reasonably and effectively increase its tariffs. Once the Whitehorse Island incident has passed, we can find loopholes in his group. It would be best to fine him a large sum of money. I want to make him suffer." One of the chubby and bearded guys said, "Sir, the whole world is watching him now. If we rashly impose tariffs on his industries or investigate his group, it will easily be seen as deliberate retaliation for the Whitehorse Island incident and the Blackwater incident. So I think we should wait for the time being." "Wait? I can't wait even a bit." The official smoothed his smooth bangs and gritted his teeth, saying, "This old BA5 tard didn't even give me the slightest bit of face, and even had the audacity to ask me to fine him $50 billion. I really can't issue a $50 billion fine. But at least $500 million should make him lose something, right?" The bearded man was silent for a moment, then spoke. "Why don't we pass a bill calling on our people to minimize unnecessary luxury spending? To achieve this goal, we'll raise tariffs on all luxury goods, whether they are from France, Italy, or even Britain. As long as they are luxury goods, the tax will be increased by 50%. If anyone asks why we are doing this, we'll say that European luxury goods are draining our people's wallets. Americans should be using their money to buy domestically produced goods, rather than spending their hard-earned money on imports." The president's eyes lit up. "That's a good idea. After all, our supporters are ordinary working-class people. Those high-income people not only don't vote for us, but they are constantly mocking us on social media. We can use this opportunity to give them a slap in the face." Meanwhile, after Bertnard hung up the phone with the president, he felt incredibly refreshed. He was like a player who'd found a bug in an online game where they could grind for experience. And now they'd found the highest level boss to grind for experience. Now they were just waiting for the moment when their experience points would skyrocket and they'd drop top-tier equipment. Seeing him look so smug after mocking the official, his wife couldn't help but grumble. "I advise you not to get too carried away with your heroics. You're going against the powerful people for your ridiculous sense of justice. If they really sanction you, you'll lose at least hundreds of millions of dollars a year, maybe even more." "What do you know?" Bertnard snorted. "Summer insects can't talk about ice." His wife didn't know about the rejuvenation pill. If she knew, she'd definitely be even crazier than he was. After all, the amount she spent on her skincare every year was already astronomical. So, he closed his eyes, crossed his legs, and thought to himself smugly, "This time, I'm going to give them a hard time." While Bertnard was still flying over the ocean, the sun rose on Whitehorse Island in the Maldives. Today was Charlie's family's last day on Whitehorse Island. As planned, they were to check out at noon and take a seaplane back to the capital, Mail. Then Elaine and Jacob would go to Dubai. while he and Claire would take an international flight back to China. Elaine was naturally reluctant to leave. The scenery here was beautiful, and the climate was pleasant. Compared to the freezing cold in China, and the scorching heat and dryness of Dubai, it was a welcome relief. Luckily, she now had plenty of US dollars. And the shopping malls in Dubai still held a strong allure. As she approached her departure, Claire felt a bit melancholy. She considered this trip to the Maldives her first and last trip with Charlie. After returning, she would be leaving him. Charlie noticed her downturn and asked with concern, "Honey, are you reluctant to leave? How about we stay here for a few more days?" Claire forced a smile and shook her head, saying, "No, no matter how reluctant I am, I have to leave. After all, this is just a stop on our journey, not our entire lives." Charlie couldn't hear the deeper meaning in her words. So he simply smiled and said, "We can come anytime you want in the future." Chapter 69:30. Charlie felt that Whitehorse Island and JD Island would soon become his own assets. While he couldn't tell Claire, he could find excuses to bring her here often. So, he deliberately lowered his voice and said mysteriously, "Wife, I heard that the boss of this group also believes in Feng Shui. I'll ask Miss Sweet to help introduce him. Maybe I can get a position as Feng Shui director here in the future." Claire heard him say this, and her smile became even more forced and helpless. Thinking of Tavanna, she asked curiously, "Miss Sweet is also on the island. You have been her Feng Shui director for so long. She came to the island, but you two haven't met yet, right? We are going back today, and we should say hello to her." Charlie had always tried his best to avoid seeing Tavanna with his wife. But what Claire said at this moment was human nature. According to the relationship he had laid out before, he and Tavanna had worked together before. They happened to land on the same island. It would be a bit unreasonable not to meet and say hello. So, he asked Claire, "Wife, why don't we go meet Miss Sweet together? Exchange a few words with her, and then come back." Claire shook her head and said, "I won't make things worse. You go and say hello to her." Charlie said, "If you're not going, there's no point in my going alone. Why don't we just leave? Isn't it okay if we don't let her know we've been here?" "Forget it," Claire said seriously. "It's such a coincidence that we two can meet on a small island thousands of kilometers away. It's really not right not to say hello. If she finds out later, she'll definitely blame you for being unkind. You go. I'm just packing up in my room." Seeing that she said that, Charlie could only nod and say, "Okay, I'll ask her on WeChat later." In fact, Tawana also knew that Charlie was leaving the island today. She missed him very much. But because Claire was also on the island, she had to suppress the urge to see him. Preoccupied with her thoughts, she was completely lost in thought, completely out of her element. Her parents, similarly shaken by the impact of the terrorist attacks, had been equally out of their element for the past 2 days. The three of them often sat together in a daze. Their mother even suggested several times that they leave the Maldives and return to America. But Tawana remained silent. After 2 days, her parents finally recovered from the aftermath of the attacks. Then, her mother realized something was wrong and said to Tawana, "Honey, I think something's not right." Looking out at the glassy turquoise sea, Tawana absent-mindedly asked, "What's wrong?" Her mother replied, "Look, what we've experienced here is known to the entire world. And it's such a huge impact. Trevor couldn't possibly be unaware of it. You two used to be so inseparable. I understand why you didn't bring him on vacation this time. You said he was training for the competition. But after something so serious happened to us, he didn't come to see you. Isn't that a little strange?" Trevor and Tawana had always been inseparable. Like conjoined twins, constantly glued to each other. A beloved couple recognized throughout the entertainment industry. But lately, not only have their appearances together become increasingly rare, but their daily interactions have also become less frequent. Tawana's mother found it strange that his girlfriend hadn't rushed over to offer comfort. Not even a phone call. Tawana was at a loss for words. Just before Trevor left China, they had implicitly agreed to marry. By then, she had already realized that a relationship with Charlie was impossible. And even felt an urge to settle things quickly and put aside any other thoughts. But as her interactions with Charlie grew, and he repeatedly saved her from danger, Tawana suddenly realized the reality. She might never be able to overcome her feelings for him. For Tawana now, even if she couldn't have Charlie, it didn't matter, but she didn't want to settle. Trevor was that person. If she still wanted to settle, she should suppress her true feelings and maintain the relationship. But since she didn't want to settle, there was no point in continuing to waste time with him. Originally, she had thought about breaking up with Trevor directly. But after thinking about it, Trevor was her longest-term boyfriend after all. And she didn't want to appear too heartless. If she could let him let go on his own initiative, perhaps that would be the best outcome. So, Tawana kissed Charlie passionately at the concert. And even sang the song Assassin on the island where she had kissed Charlie passionately. Just to express her feelings to Trevor, and let him know that she still couldn't let go of Charlie. Trevor had never contacted her. And even when she encountered such a big thing, he still didn't ask a single question. It can be seen that he had understood her feelings and decided to let go as well. Now, her mother suddenly asked about Trevor. Tawana hesitated for a moment and murmured, "Mom, Dad, Trevor and I are over."